All right, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Andrew. I'm the founder of Train Fitness, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about human activity recognition today and what that means. So a little bit about my background. I've been a software developer for about 10 years now, primarily focused on front end and Swift or iOS in particular. Before starting Train, I was a management consultant, so a totally different path, and did a very brief stint at business school before dropping out to start Train. So human activity recognition, what is that? So we are trying to build technology that tracks everything you do with the motion of a user's smartwatch or the Apple Watch in our case, instead of using other conventional ways to track activities such as cameras or computer vision. Now, obviously, there's big benefits with tracking how you can move with a camera, but there's also limitations. It's not very versatile. It can be expensive. It's awkward or cumbersome, and just not necessarily the best way to use every single use case. And so we've solved our first go-to-market in the strength space or the gym space. And so what we do is we track the exercises that you perform at a gym automatically, entirely based off of the motion of your of your wrist. And so we track over 150 different exercises automatically, ranging from things like push-ups or sit-ups, bench press, squats, so on and so forth. So if any of you guys are into the fitness space, where this all started, I grew up doing a lot of cardio sports, triathlons, running, swimming, things like that. And I got very used to tracking those activities using a smartwatch. So tracking your distance, your rep, or your pace, whether your elevation or things like that. And you can do that because the GPS has been built to track how people or objects move from point A to point B, and it does that very efficiently. The US military actually invented the GPS, and it's estimated that the return on that technology is somewhere in the $2 to $10 trillion space. Now, the challenge is when you're in a confined space, you can't use a GPS. I can't use a GPS to track how I'm lifting weights, if I'm doing a yoga class, or if I'm cooking in the kitchen, or any other type of activity. You can't use a GPS because it's not good or adapt to tracking those types of nuanced activities. And so that's where we come in. And so we are Train AI, and so we will track exactly what you're doing, how many reps you're doing, as well as provide information on the quality of those reps as well. And we do that using machine learning. Something that maybe a lot of people don't know, there actually is other types of AI besides generative AI. I often have to tell people that. And we are one of those other types of AI. And so we use what's called time series data. So it tracks how your watch moves through 3D space, and we track that, and we're able to tell what activity you're doing. And so, as I mentioned, we launched our flagship product, tracking strength-based exercises and counting reps automatically. We're available in the App Store. That's not really why I'm here today or why I want to talk to you guys. What I actually am a lot more excited about is human motion as a controller. And so what exactly does this mean? It means that we're starting to move into a space where the metaverse and some of these other activities, the line between technology and real human space is starting to get blurred. And one of the things that's going to accelerate that paradigm is human motion as a controller. And so we're starting off with being able to track things like a bicep curl or a bench press, but it goes so far beyond that, and I'm very, very excited to see where this space kind of goes over the next couple of years. And so to kind of just paint the picture of what this means and what the realm of possibility is, we've done a few different experiments, and these are by, if there's any scientists in the room, by no means conclusive experiments, but they are fun little thought experiments that we've done to try and see really like what is the possibility of this technology and how can we get people excited about this technology to bring it into other types of areas and bring the entire ecosystem forward together. And so as an example, if you can track the difference between, say, a bicep curl or a bench press, or even a more nuanced activity like, say, a incline bench press versus a flat bench, or a close grip bench, or a dumbbell bench press, or a banded bench press, or so on and so forth, why can't you track the difference between, say, a front crawl or a back crawl, or between the difference of turning on a stove versus opening the microwave, or track the difference between someone that's driving a car sober versus someone that might be driving a car under the influence. And so there's a lot of opportunities where you can use single existing hardware like a smartwatch or headphones today to track what someone's doing. And I'll leave it on kind of one final note. So we did an experiment a few months ago where only wearing an Apple Watch, we wanted to try and see, can you actually tell what someone is cooking or eating just based off of the motion of the Apple Watch? We did not use the microphone, we did not use any other sensors, just purely based off of the motion. And again, as I mentioned, this is not a conclusive experiment, so if you are a scientist, please don't come ask for my data after. But we did have a little fun with it. And when we looked at 5 different classes of activity, ranging from pouring and eating a bowl of cereal to making pasta and a few others, we were actually able to detect what that human was cooking and eating with over a 94% confidence interval. So pretty exciting, scary stuff. The intention of this is not, please don't go home and take your Apple Watch off and never wear it again. There's a ton of opportunity that comes with this, and so we're looking to try and bring that space forward. And so my name is Andrew. Thank you, guys.
And Andrew actually knows which of you raised your hand to ask a question.
Hi, Andrew. That's really cool stuff. How big a problem space is it? Like, if you look at just within this room, right? There's huge differences in the sort of form factor of the human body, right? Like how long somebody's arms are and whatnot. How big a problem space is that in terms of your confidence interval for those?
Yeah, so it definitely impacts the way you track for sure. One of the things that we first had to solve is with lifting weights, there's a huge diversity in the level that someone is able to lift in. You've got tall, you've got short, you've got beginner, you've got advanced. And so, for example, when we were training our models, we would see everything from personal trainers that have perfect form to people that form was so questionable, you didn't even really know what exercise it was. And so for sure it's a problem, but it's actually a problem that, in my opinion, machine learning is the most apt to try and solve. And it's you can build models that are very, very good at detecting incorrect form or discrepancies between data.
Super sick. Question. So the asymmetry in left-handed versus right-handed people, how are you tracking if I'm cooking or if I'm eating with a non-dominant hand that my watch is wearing?
Yeah, so it's the same thing with lifting weights. So people wear a smartwatch on usually just one of their hands. And so it is a good point for sure. If you, let's say most people would wear their watch on their non-dominant hand, so you could train models to learn that. There's definitely some limitations, but even with having the watch either on the dominant or the non-dominant hand, you would still be able to detect that activity. When you're collecting data to be able to train models, you would likely need to know which hand it's on, or you'd be able to infer that with models. But they're all things that you can get around for sure.
Do you think it's possible in the future that you could train the model to translate American Sign Language?
Yeah, so it's a great question. It's actually something that we looked into when we first started investigating. And so I am by no means a sign language expert, but one of the biggest limitations today with sign language is sign is so much more than just the motion of your hand. A lot of it has to do with the way you move your lips, your facial expressions, and your entire body expression. And so there's actually a company, and I can't remember the name of it, that's tried to do that with a full 5-finger glove, and they've gotten a lot closer. What I would say is I think it probably is possible for basic levels in the future, but today computer vision definitely wins that one.
Hey, buddy. Great presentation. So I do Muay Thai, which is effectively kickboxing with elbows and knees. Now, in your vision, is there any projection that you see for this technology being used for combat sport, in the sense like, training athletes, timing their moves and the distance and whatnot?
Absolutely. So we're looking to expand into adjacent sports. That would be yoga, Pilates, martial arts, boxing, things like that. And what's interesting is one of the questions we often get asked is, well, if you're kickboxing, you're not wearing a watch on your leg, and so how is that going to work? The reality is you don't need to. And so we will track activities like a leg press, a leg extension, a leg curl, squats, lunges, things like that, entirely based off of the upper body, even if the upper body and lower body movements are isolated.
Hi. Do you find that user privacy is a big concern, or you're really targeting people that don't really care, just really focus on their form?
No, it's a huge concern, and it's one that we take very, very seriously. And one of the things that is very, in my opinion, that this general sector and industry is going to face in the near future is that at some point, people are going to wake up and realize that motion can, you can translate motion into what you're doing in your household. And so if you think of, for example, when Alexa or Siri came out and these smart speakers or home speakers came out, everyone was super excited about it for about 6 weeks. And then they're like, well, hang on, now Jeff Bezos can see everything I'm doing in my home. And suddenly people started to kind of take a step back. And so I think that same thing will happen to this industry. And to try and get ahead of that, we're being very, very privacy forward and conscious.
Thank you. If we have more questions, I know that you can just wave your wrist and he'll magically appear and answer all your questions. Can they hit you up somewhere else online?
Yeah, so my name is Andrew Just, just like it sounds, J-U-S-T. So feel free to shoot me a follow on LinkedIn. I would love to connect with you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Round of applause for Andrew.
Thank you.